Walk out the door, you see someone that you know and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand. They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand. You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
What's going on, you guys? It's another day in freaking paradise. Here we are under the M3. You can see we've got the reinforcement plates just like temporarily up. I've got to trace them out, as you can see here, basically to give me an idea of where to clean the metal, where to grind that paint off and that, I think it's like cosmoline, that tar off the rear. But we've also got to weld these cracks shut, so we're going to have to clean all that as well. This isn't fun. This is an absolute bitch. It's probably the worst part of the job, dealing with all this tar back here on these rear mounts. It takes a long time to get that off. I don't have a metal disc grinder, so I'm kind of limited to what I can use. These kind of like abrasive discs you can throw on the drill worked actually really well. I was surprised with those, but regardless, this is an absolute shit show of a job. All right, boys, here we are in the thick of it all. We are right now under the car. I am grinding away at this bullshit for the subframe, exposing all the cracks, getting all this nasty cosmoline off. This is the worst fucking part. But after this, it's smooth sailing. I have the welder coming today. He's gonna be getting all these plates in place, stitching up the cracks here. And then it's really easy. Then it's just throwing it all back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and bust this out really quick, because the longer I take to do this, the longer I put off putting my car back together, and I really want to drive this fucking thing. Well, you guys, this is it. This is the face of a man who's winning.
Winning in what sense?
Just winning, just being happy.
Because some would
just
say
winning.
that you're defeated now.
They can say that, but what kind of car are they driving? I'm sorry, winning. You starting to get the concept now? You finally just go, yeah, you know, good luck, you're gonna need it. I'm gonna be over here, like, winning. I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what? Talk about an education. And then like this, and then that's the guy, and he's our dad, and we can get all the answers and the truth. Wow, winning. It's how you perceive it.
We've just completed grinding all of the subframe points. It's all prepped. It's ready for the welder. He's going to be here soon. God! I'm so happy. That's all over. Fuck! Oh, that's the worst. That's the absolute worst part of this job, is doing just that, grinding all that away. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. I think we've got to address my crack problem. Or rather, my problem with cracks.
Peanut butter and cracks.
So this again is rear passenger. Rear passenger actually had no cracks. Passenger front, however, this was my worst one. You can see the crack begins right here. This is on the back end of the subframe mount. It actually wraps all the way around, as we can see there. And it creeps up on this side, up into this little like fold of the sheet metal. The stamp here, it crept up all the way into the little crack there, and unfortunately that meant we had to drop the fuel tank, which was a bitch. But again, it's all done now. We are home sailing. There are a couple things that I still need to do before the welder gets here. I did hire a welder to come in and get these plates welded. I'm not terrible at welding, but I'm not necessarily like the best either, so I wasn't gonna have my first big job just be on my own car trying to, you know, in this very delicate space with very thin sheet metal. That's not me. But I have to basically get the plates bolted in. They have portions, or they have accommodations for areas where you have to drill out this first level of sheet metal
basically right here. So like right here we have the passenger front again, the one that is cracked. Basically what we'll do for the repair is I've got to drill a hole in each end of the crack, and then he's gonna weld it shut. Then we're gonna put the plate on, and this is going to be welded in place here. Here is basically where right now I'm going to be drilling, like I mentioned, this first layer of sheet metal away, and then he'll be sending a rosette weld in there basically to stitch the layers all together. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but at this point it's pretty much all downhill. It's going to be very simple from here, really just putting it back together. So I'm just going to get that done really quickly off camera so we can get the ball rolling. Sheesh. I mean, for real, bro. Weld Daddy did his thing. Homie went off. I barely even gave him the instruction. Dude put it down. I mean, look at that. Homie had no control, just went for it. I am mad happy that how that came out. If you're going to do this, just hire someone. Hire a mobile welder, because it's cheaper than buying one yourself and then fucking your car up. It's cheaper than going to a shop and spending $4 to $5K on this job. Just hire a mobile welder. I paid dude like $200 for that, and it came out looking titties. But anyway, we got to move on to the X-brace install. That's kind of key to this whole rear subframe thing. And first thing we got to do is pull these back carpets. Well, looks like we got really lucky because I don't see any cracking on the floor. And both strut towers actually seem to be in really good shape. No stress, no cracks, no separating of really any sheet metal back here. So that is honestly a big freaking relief. But I mean, at this point, since we've got subframe out and the underside's pretty much cleaned, I have to prep now for the install of the Puretech X-brace, which is going to connect the strut towers to the subframe, basically right there. Usually you would cut a hole right here and weld those the sheet metal panels back together. But in this case, since we're running the X-brace, we're just going to cut a hole, run the X-brace through it. If there's any cracking, obviously we'll address it then. But the benefit of the X-brace is it actually runs a bolt straight through the subframe, through the floor, and into the X-brace, which they supply with, you know, a guide drill bit and everything, a guide bit and all of that. So that's going to be interesting. Honestly, I don't know how I feel cutting into OEM metal. It actually looks really good. I mean, check that zinc out, bro. Right? Is that some fucking FES spec shit? That's some fucking zinc. Look at that zinc. But actually really clean. I'm actually very stoked with this outcome so far. All right, guys, here we are starting the X-brace installation, and I just really quickly wanted to show you the tools that it came with. First of all, it came with a bunch of instructions to get all this done. Pages of instructions, actually, a couple pages, and with pictures even, which is really nice because this is not, you know, completely straightforward. But the most important bit is going to be this guide bolt that it came with. Basically, this goes into the subframe rear mounting point, the rear point. And because it's hollow, if you can see, it's a guide bolt. You're going to take this provided 6 millimeter, 300 long, or 6 millimeter by 300 millimeter drill bit here. This big boy. So this is going to be in the subframe like this, basically. And you're going to take the drill through the guide as it's in the, it's going to be mounted in, so it's centered. You're going to drill up, straight through your floor, and up into the trunk where you saw me pull the carpet out. So just wanted to show you that really quickly before I get under the car and forget to kind of detail this stuff here, because this is kind of important. Here we are with the, this is the guide bolt that they gave us for this procedure here, and they did supply their own drill bit. So I don't know, I mean, it looks legit, but this feels completely backwards. Just drilling a hole straight through the sheet metal of this thing. So it says just get it hand tight. And we're basically gonna drill right through that sucker. Through the carpet as well, because I'm gonna do it with like an interior, maintain the interior, so we're gonna keep the carpet in there and just drill right through the carpet. Fuck. I read the directions literally like 50 times, and it's one of those things where like I feel like I just forgot it and should go back, but there's no way I can mess this up. Fingers crossed. So this is the supplied drill bit. It's I think 30 mil, they said 30 millimeter. I don't know. No, it's much longer than that, but it's a 6 millimeter wide. Okay, here we go, motherfuckers. Oh wait. This feels so fucking wrong. Oh! Something happened. Oh, I think we just went through the carpet. Oh, wait. Oh. Oh my god. That is all the way in my fucking car. That is through. That's through my car. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Okay, so that's the underside of my car. That's a drill in the underside of my car. And that's a drill bit through the trunk of my car. Fuck me, dude. What is this? There's no going back. Look how big this fucking thing is. Okay. Well, we just finished drilling through the bottom of the freaking car. And here, let me flip you guys around really quickly for this next step. You can see here, we've got the drill again and a 2-inch hole saw. Essentially, we're going to be taking the 2 holes that we drilled earlier, that one and that one, and just enlarging them to about 2 inches, rather. And that's to actually fit the X-brace down into that. It's going to be going like that, and that's where it ties into the subframe. I really don't want to be doing this. Fuck. Oh, look at that. Now we have an access port, motherfucker. Oh, gotta clean all that metal up. It's disgusting. Right off the bat, none of the tack welds appear to be broken. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. We did it. Fucking totaling this car, man. We drilled 2 more holes in it. Oh shit, let me turn you around. They actually aren't bad. Okay, so I went ahead and vacuumed this all clean. And we can see it now. It's actually not too bad. Usually on most cars, you see a lot of failures in this area. This like T section here, these welds are really prone to cracking. But to have no cracking on both, that's actually pretty good. I mean, minus the cracking on the underside, of course. But the next step is going to be to widen these pilot holes now. Essentially, with the X-brace, you're going to get a larger bolt to pass through here to tie in the subframe to the brace. And so you've got to drill out about, I think, 13 millimeters of these first couple plies of sheet metal on the top. That way the larger bolt can actually pass through and be bolted to the X-brace. So I'm going to go ahead and get the drilling done. Right after that, I've got to get the subframe mounted so we can actually get that bolt up and through the chassis here, because the only way to get the X-brace in is to get the subframe in. So really quickly here, one thing that's going to make installing your bushings a lot easier, it's going to help you even with your ball joints, is freezing them actually. Overnight, the day before, just throw them in the freezer and let your parts before you install them sit in the sun. That way that metal can expand as much as possible. Also, make sure you take note of the rear top bushing orientation. You can see here the bushing actually has an accommodation for the weld that kind of overlaps the installation area. I accidentally threw it in the wrong way, had to pull it out and do it a second time. All right, so now that you guys saw me mount the subframe, I had actually went ahead and torqued it after the fact off camera just to get it done. I did want to touch on the X-brace really quickly, which if we bounce over to the garage, or if we bounce over to the trunk here, we can see I have the X-brace. I did touch on the fact that, you know, beyond drilling through the floor, the directions actually call for drilling out the top side of the basically where you put the guide bolt through with the drill bit, and that's because this section here, if we look where the bolt passes through, well, this is, you know, for one, this is actually a failure point in the subframes. Basically that T area, the T looking area, those welds will crack, and I've seen it really bad in here. Basically you get to these by lifting up the carpet and cutting out like a square, you know, this unit in a square. But this kind of bypasses this, as you just drill straight through the subframe, straight through the sheet metal, and it basically is going to tie into this, tying into the shock towers. So as long as, you know, you don't really have to do repairs in there. I got lucky to where both of mine still are really clean actually, but you know, that only saved me a little bit of pain, obviously. But yeah, so you drill at the tops a little bit, basically with a 1/2-inch drill bit, so you can actually clear this with the bolt. Otherwise, this sheet metal obviously keeps the bolt from passing through completely. And with the guide drill bit, it's like a 6 mil. It's not quite enough to get the job done, so you have to go back over and redo that. But now that those are actually kind of popped through, I just wanted to show you how it all is going to snap together. So basically, now that those studs have come through the sheet metal and are passing through the chamber that we created for it, you take the X-brace. Basically, you want to, you know, the shock towers can be lined up, but you're going to take the X-brace. Those studs are going to go with the holes at the bottom. There you go, the holes at the bottom of the X-brace. So let me throw that in there. There we go. And basically that's it. You bolt it in. Now that that's done, there are a couple more pieces of attached. There are a couple more attachments I have to make here. You can see that there's an accommodation for a bolt, which I have to drill through there and there. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Once you've done the drilling, that's really all you need for this, because you just run the after everything else is done, you run
the supplied bolt, I should say. It's a newly supplied bolt through, comes straight through the X brace, and then they give you 2 lock nuts to throw basically in and on top right there like that. Here we are. The M3 is finished. You can see got the X brace in. I'm really happy with how that got installed. Came out really nice, you know, around the edges and everything for the mounting and with the carpet. I'm really glad about that. And the rest of the car went together really smoothly. We put the trailing arms together, put the Turner monoball R tabs in there. I'm really excited for those. Those are going to be really a game changer in terms of how the car handles being able to support both axial and radial movements. So that is a key component, guys. The X brace adds a lot of rigidity. If you can see here, you know, if I shake it, it shakes the entire car. Yeah, so I am overall really happy with everything, with how everything came out. The fit and finish of the Puretech X bar is perfect. Honestly, it complements the trunk, you know, really nicely. Once the piece was installed with the carpet, I was really surprised at how I was able to pull it off, you know, given the fitment and everything. I'm really stoked with that. Definitely look into an X brace if you're going to do your rear end. It's a must. But with that does bring us to a close. That's pretty much it for this one. You know, we are pretty much going to be right back to driving videos. I mean, now that the M3 is done, E30 is going to be taking the bench for a while. I don't really, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't really need much. Not going to do much to it other than enjoy it. But that means the next time we will see each other in the M3, it will be a driving video. I just got it registered, so big hype for that. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.